Now, even though Leach Botanical Garden has been a staple of the community, a lot of locals aren't actually familiar with the fact that there's a 16-acre botanical garden in the middle of Southeast Portland. There are a bunch of beautiful walkways through the trees, there's a free-flowing stream, there are flowers, and a ton of event spaces where you could have a wedding. In this video, we're going to walk through each one and look at what it would be like if you get married here. Now, you don't have to have an enormous event if you want to get married here. In fact, the gardens are super ideal for anything from a small elopement. You could do engagement pictures here. There are even couples who will get married elsewhere and then just come here for their photos. And these guys have really reasonably priced packages for all of that kind of stuff. So you should definitely check out their website. Something that I really appreciate about this venue is just how aesthetic it is. You really don't need to bring in a ton of decorations to make it look really beautiful. Maybe a bouquet and some simple florals, but you're surrounded by trees and nature and hydrangeas and just all kinds of natural beauty. Now, Leach Botanical Garden is broken into two levels. Down below you have the lower garden, and up here you have the upper garden. What makes this space really stand out is this beautiful covered arbor. Let's take a look at that. Now, here in the covered arbor, you have this little event patio that's super ideal for ceremonies. You could have a dance floor, and what's great is that it's covered from the rain. You have electricity, lighting, and you could fit somewhere between 40 and 70 people here. And this is great for anything from a full-size wedding all the way down to an elopement. Now, right next to the covered arbor, you have this beautiful tree walk. It moves in a circle through the trees, and at some points you're up to about 20 feet off the ground. What's really unique about this is that you could set this up for a cocktail hour and let your guests wander around. It's great for photos, and we've even seen some couples set up rows of tables along the middle and do dinner among the trees. This is one of my favorite features of the upper garden. It is so pretty in here. The upper garden features all of these beautiful pathways. There's also some sidewalks and then a ton of lawn space. So it's super ideal if you wanted to set up some lawn games, if you have a larger event, or if you have a smaller event. It's just a nice place to have some intimacy and some privacy. Now, along with the covered arbor and the tree walk, the upper garden has tons of walkways and a very modern aesthetic. In fact, the whole thing was renovated in 2021. So a lot of the look and feel is very contemporary. Alongside the upper garden, there's also the lower garden, which has some original buildings from the 1930s and a really classic aesthetic. Let's head down there next. Now, the upper and lower are connected by this set of stairs, but there's also a parking lot at each location. So depending on the flow of the event, you could park at one level and walk straight to the other. The most prominent feature of the lower garden is the Manor house here, and the actual history is fascinating. Back in the 1930s, there was a botanist that lived here by the name of Lilla Leach, and she actually discovered 5 original flowers here in the state of Oregon. Since that time, the house has been given to the Parks Department and is maintained beautifully. And for your event, they have an incredible fireside room and east terrace where your guests can enjoy an indoor and outdoor vibe. Now, as your guests enter the event, either from the upper garden or from the parking lot down here, they'll be greeted at the front of the Manor house. And then the event typically flows this way. Out here on the east terrace, you have some incredible event space. Where underneath cafe lights, we have this beautiful arbor, so you could set up rows of chairs and do a ceremony here. And then the venue can actually flip this space for a seated dinner. You have room for a dance floor here, and then around the house, there are just tons of spots to do photos. It's really great on camera. The lighting is super pretty, which obviously I'm jaded as a videographer. I love good scenery, and everything just kind of flows seamlessly. Something that I really appreciate about this venue is just how aesthetic it is. You really don't need to bring in a ton of decorations to make it look really beautiful. Maybe a basic bouquet, but beyond that, you're completely surrounded by trees and forest. There's tons of florals, there are hydrangeas, so if you're working with a smaller budget or maybe you just want a simpler event, this is the kind of place that you can come to be surrounded by some real beauty. Now, we are in the state of Oregon and rain does happen. So as a contingency, this fireplace room is a great option if you have a really small event of up to 40 people. More ideally though, this is often used as the space where you set up your cocktail area. You could have a bar here so that guests can wander in off the patio and get refreshments, and there are a couple of bathrooms that way. Now, the Manor house also has this beautiful ready room upstairs. So as you're preparing for your wedding and doing final touch-ups on hair and makeup, you have a little bit of staging room and a view of the east terrace so you can watch them as they set up your event and guests arrive. Now, in terms of logistics, Leach Botanical Garden can accommodate up to about 100 people. They have parking, there are bathrooms, and both levels are ADA accessible, which is super handy. The wedding package comes with all of the rentals that you're gonna need, like tables and chairs and all of the essentials. For decor and for food, they have amazing preferred vendors that you can choose from. And beyond that, you can play your music here until about 9 p.m. Now, the gardens stay open to the general public until the mid-afternoon, and at that point, they close down and you have exclusive access to everything. But beforehand, you can wander around, you can take pictures, and you can begin to set up for your wedding. Leach Botanical Garden is one of the most unique hidden gem venues across the entire city of Portland, and I can't think of a better wedding venue if you want to get married out among the trees. If you want to check them out, we're going to link them in the description below, and while you're at it, check out A Beautiful Union. We're a photo and video studio here in Portland, and we shoot weddings and elopements across the state of Oregon. I'll see you in the next one.